good morning. You're watching the F&O Show on Bloomberg Quint Live, India's first digital live streaming business news service. I'm Navneet Saluja D'Souza.
Good morning, I'm Agam Vakil, and here are the headlines at this hour. Indian markets extend gains for the second day after exit polls predict a victory for BJP in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. The open interest in Jet Airways and Pidilite increases as traders take fresh positions in their respective futures. But Vedanta is the top gainer on the Nifty after a brokerage firm Credit Suisse initiates coverage on the stock with an outperform rating. And it's a tepid listing for Shalby Hospitals. The multi-speciality hospital lists at a discount to its issue price of 248 rupees per share.
Okay, let's take a look as to what's happening in the markets today. And well, Agam, thank God it's Friday. I'm not talking about your show,
yes,
but the traders are saying that. Thank God it's Friday. The exit polls have been in favor of the markets, I would call it, because every poll is indicating a very comfortable victory for BJP. And after such a volatile week, we are finally bracing ourselves to a good closing, at least for the week. So Nifty is trading with gains of over 100 points. And the good news is that we've maintained the opening gains, and not only maintained, there's been follow-on buying which has come after the opening. The premium has expanded by almost 2 points, so 27 points is the premium. But let's just pull up the India VIX. That's the index we've been talking about throughout the week. It surged almost 20% for the week, but look at that, it's cooled off almost 13% after the exit polls results. So that's a very, very positive news, and precisely that's the reason why we are witnessing a follow-on buying which has come about. What's contributing to the gains today? Clearly the Bank Nifty has supported the index. So Bank Nifty is also trading with good amount of gains, 350 points up for Bank Nifty. Premium almost at 45 points. In both the benchmark indices, pardon me, have been trading above their key moving averages like 20, 50 and 100-day moving average. So good going. Even the broader markets have seen substantial gains. The advance decline ratio so far has been in favor of the advances. Quickly, I'll just take you through the options premium, what's happening there. The options premium today, Agam, have halved. If you look at the put side, the 10,300 put, 45 minutes into trade, it's added over 10 lakh shares so far. That's clearly indicating that maybe the support now could be 10,300 for Nifty.
Absolutely, Navneet. It's this move, of course, is to a certain extent factoring in. So I actually was very curious to know what would happen on Monday now that we have the exit poll results out. Of course, we will eventually have the final, results on Monday when it comes to Gujarat. But moving in, let's take a look at some of the stocks which are in focus today. And we've seen a lot of activity in Jet Airways and Pidilite. Jet Airways, of course, is one of those counters which is just moving from strength to strength, and another 11% added in open interest in today's day of trade. It's up 3% now. So it was just up as much as 1.5% about 15 minutes ago. So there are more longs building in, and I wonder what's going on there. But in Pidilite as well. And do remember that both these companies, Pidilite and Jet Airways, are directly, influenced by crude, because for Pidilite, of course, it was because of raw materials, and Jet, of course, because of the ATF prices. Pidilite, on the other hand, is not really moving too much in terms of its underlying, but it has seen a 12% increase in OI. Bank of India, Voltas and Cholamandalam among the other counters which are looking at a considerable addition towards open interest. Fresh longs in Bank of India as well as Voltas. Let's pull up the list of counters which are looking at unwinding. Adani Power looking at a decline of around 3% in trade, so short covering coming for Adani Power. Yes Bank looking at also some amount of short covering. Escorts, Federal Bank and Tata Power among other counters looking at some amount of decline in open interest. But again, I will be watching out for what's happening in Pidilite, considering there's nothing which is changing in the underlying. And Jet Airways, of course, which is continuing to move from strength to strength.
That's right. And before we go to our guest, I just want to pull up the new kid on the block. Shalby's not had a great listing today. In fact, the stock's been trading at a discount to its issue price. So actually, it's up now almost 2%, 253. We'll get you more details on that. But before we get our guest on the show, here's a reminder. If you have any queries regarding the futures and options market, you can call us now on 022 4540 4141. or you can also write to us on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook with AskPQ hashtag. Let's welcome our F&O experts for the day. Well, we are joined by Hemant, Thukral, who is head derivatives desk, Aditya Birla Money, and also joining us on the show is Abhijit, Phatak, Director Defined Edge Solutions. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen, and thanks very much for joining us today on Bloomberg Quinn. Hemant, let me come to you first. The VIX has cooled off almost 12%. The put premiums have halved. Would you suggest taking any fresh long positions now, considering the results still are on Monday, but it's still indicating it could be in favor of BJP?
See, good morning. If you see the data points, one thing which we have reflected out that the base is shifting up. So today we have seen 10,300 getting active. In fact, 10,300 strike price put call ratio, if I check, it's moved above 1. That means finally the puts are more than the calls, which is always an encouraging signal. And 10,200 should also act as a new base. What is even more interesting for me is the way Bank Nifty is trying to stabilize above 25,400. So if Bank Nifty stays above 25,400, then I am seeing Bank Nifty moving towards 25,800. So I would still recommend that at dips or any opportunity intraday, because today is a Friday, we should add on positions towards 10,330, 10,340, keeping a stop loss of 10,300 now. I feel we should be able to conquer 10,450 in the coming week.
Okay, before we take Abhijit's views, let's also address the listing that we were talking about, Shelby, and it's not been a fantastic listing. For now, we're looking at an uptick of nearly 1%, currently at around 249, and if I'm not mistaken, its issue price at around 248, so it's somewhere around there. We have Darshan Mehta joining us, to take us through what's going on with this IPO, as well as perhaps we can get a sense with the management as well. So Darshan, first, why don't you tell us about what's happening and how the listings turned out?
Yeah, so listing's pretty in line with what was anticipated. 248 was something that they spoke about. They listed at it's at the same price. It was a tad expensive at 28 times EV to EBITDA. But let's get in the management also to speak on the entire issue. We have, I believe, Dr. Vikram Shah. He joins us on the listing. Congratulations, Dr. Shah, for getting your company listed. First of all, now since that you are a listed company, you are open to give forward-looking statements. You were given your first quarter numbers that was there in the RHP. Can you tell us what's there in the second quarter numbers as far as the top line, bottom line and margins are concerned?
Well, as far as the company is now listed and the result of second quarter are not yet audited, I would not like to speak on that. But one thing I want to speak definitely is as a Shelby, as a healthcare group, we are doing very well, and we had been growing more than 30-35% per annum since last 10 years.
Okay, Mr. Shah, since you can't tell us the second quarter numbers, but you must have a broad idea of what's expected for the balance of the year. So for the full year, what kind of outlook can you leave us with?
Well, again, because of the heavy restriction, forward-looking statement I would not like to give, but we had been doing well for all the years, and we will continue to do so.
What about margins? Because you were in the levels of 20 to 25% over the past few years. In the first quarter, you did close to 29%. Is 29-30% something that you can manage for the near future?
Well, we will keep margins intact more than 25% in a coming time also. And this margin is basically product of our brand as a orthopedic and as a joint replacement. And another thing is that we are able to run our units very efficiently, so our margins are always better than others.
What about the growth strategy ahead? Which are the new geographies that you're looking to enter? Which are the new therapy areas that you're looking to enter in the near term now?
Well, presently we are multi-speciality. We are very strong in orthopedics, but we have already entered in onco. We have already entered in cardiology. We are there in all these subspecialties since last 10 years. We started as orthopedic before 24 years, but now since last 10 years we are multi-speciality and more focus on cardiology, oncology, neurology, etc.
What's the debt situation like? Because you believe that close to 300 crores of the IPO will be used to retire debt. What's the debt situation like currently, and what's expected going ahead?
See, basically, it's a good idea to pay back the debt to start with, but we are more than happy to leverage our balance sheet in a coming time when the opportunity arises. And already there are 4 units coming up, 2 in Mumbai, 1 in Baroda and Nasik, so we'll be needing some money there also.
About these 4 hospitals that will come up, leave us with an operational timeline on what is expected, when they will start contributing to your revenues, and when will they be operational?
Well, they will be getting operational in from 1 year to 2 years, all 4 put together, and then we are looking for opportunities in northern and eastern India.
Many thanks, Dr. Shah, for sharing the perspective and insights on your company going ahead, and all the best for being a listed company now. Okay, Agam, that was the management. Back to you.
Well, thanks for that, Darshan. Of course, we're looking at the decline of around 1.2% when it comes to Shalby. We'll be watching out for further developments and how this particular stock, moves in, perhaps advances. But for now, currently trading at 246, we'll have to just keep a watch on what this can do and what it could possibly mean for other hospital companies as well. But let's go across to our experts. And Abhijit, good morning to you. When it comes to the benchmarks, we have the exit poll results, but we are still to come across the crucial results when it comes to Monday. Based on that, what kind of view do you have on the benchmark indices?
Yes, Nifty spot has broken out above its trendline resistance and a previous high resistance near 10,330. So as long as it is above 10,330, the market is strong. But at the same time, I'm looking at the other end of it. I'm looking at a 10,300 put, which has repeatedly taken support at around 70-75 levels. Even today's low is near that, in spite of the gap down in it. So if it closes below 75, longs can be carried even to Monday. But if it is not, if it is taking support again, that can be bought with a stop loss of below 70 to hedge for the Monday results.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on Nifty, but let's also get you some option strategies. How should one place themselves ahead of that crucial event of the result? Gujarat election results will be coming out on Monday. Hemant, over to you. Any sort of option strategies that you would deploy before that?
See, as I just mentioned, that Bank Nifty looks very interesting to me because one, it's trying to sustain above 25,400. Second, important is that this participation is coming from HDFC Bank. See, HDFC Bank virtually is at a new all-time high. Now, if HDFC Bank can cross 1880 and sustain, it's currently above that. If it closes above it, that means we'll have a new all-time high closing, and the stock should move towards 1920, 1930 levels, which gives me a confidence that Bank Nifty can test 25,600. That is why I am suggesting to buy a 25,600 call around 165, 166, and stop loss I have kept is 133 and a target of 225. This call is of 21st December expiry. That means next weekly coming expiry.
So Abhijit, how would you play the benchmarks when it comes to options based on your view that you have?
On any dip towards 10,330 spot, right now it is above 350, but on any dip one can buy a 10,500 call. Right now it is 57, maybe near 50, but with a strict stop loss of 10,330 on the spot. If it closes below 10,330, this might be a failed breakout. And at the same time, if it goes and closes higher, and if the 10,300 put does not break 75, that also can be bought as a hedge.
Okay, and 10,000 put strike today has witnessed a lot of writing, as we mentioned at the start of the show. Over 10 lakh shares so far has been added there. But let's also talk about some of the stock futures. And before we go there, can we just pull up the Nifty contributors list? Because I guess Hemant was talking about HDFC Bank. Remember, that has about 30% weightage on Bank Nifty and almost 10% weightage on Nifty. And look at that, HDFC Bank is actually contributing 24 points to the moves that you're seeing on Nifty. And its twin HDFC is also contributing about 11 points. So in total, you've got almost around 35 points which are coming from these HDFC twins when it comes to the gains that one is seeing on Nifty. Okay, then let's look at the buzzing stock futures of today. Vedanta is doing pretty well after Credit Suisse initiated coverage on the counter, and they are quite bullish on this. Vedanta futures, let's just pull up that and see if there is any long position seen. Only about 2% gain when it comes to the open interest. Hemant, any sort of call that you have on Vedanta December futures, which are currently trading at 297?
See, it's actually come to a very crucial level according to me, because it has been seeing resistance around 300, and what we have also seen is that 300 call writers have been holding the positions. So I would be really interested in this counter if it manages to sustain above 300, because next target is 312, 315 then. So currently if you are holding long or you are planning to go long, then stop loss should be 293. I would personally buy only if it sustains above 299, 300 levels.
All right, let's also take a look at what Voltas is doing. Now, it's had a very suppressed day of trade yesterday, but today it's opened with a gap up, and since morning it has only moved upwards. It's gaining as much as 3% right now, and the Voltas December futures stand around 636, 637 roundabout, with a premium of 1 point. Open interest has surged as much as 10.5%. Abhijit, what's going on in Voltas, and if someone were to take a trade towards the long side, what levels would you ask them to keep an eye on?
Voltas is a buy on dip. It has given a strong rise today, and it's a buy on dip maybe towards 632, 633 levels. Only problem with the stop loss is a bit far. Only if someone can afford a stop loss of 10 rupees, because the stop loss is below 622. But if this trend continues, Voltas can go towards 650, 655 in the coming days.
Well, Jefferies has come out with a report where they've maintained their rating on Voltas with a target of 660, and they've also mentioned in their report that any sort of dip in Voltas should be used as a buying opportunity, and they expect almost 25% earnings growth to come by in the third quarter. But it's time for us to address viewer queries, and our first caller is Tia Jindal. Hi Tia, good morning to you. Tell us what's your query on.
Hi, good morning to you as well, Navneet. I am long on Walkart December futures at rupees 715. Should I book my profits?
Okay, Walkart has been doing pretty well. 715 is the mark where Tia has initiated her position, and 777 is the current level where Walkart is trading. Hemant, do you think Tia should book her profits, or she can put some stop loss?
I would continue to ride the rally, because I really feel the stock is in a very good momentum. Yes, small profit taking can come in because it is hitting a resistance of around 780, but I would recommend her to keep a stop loss of 765. So from current levels, the risk increases by only 12 rupees, and if this rally continues, I feel the stock should test 815, 820 levels also. So another 30 to 40 rupees there is in the making, but she should keep a tight stop loss of 765. So 12 rupees risk from the current levels.
All right, so that's the view on Walkart. Now let's address some queries which are coming on YouTube as well. And we have one query coming from Red Bear. And Red Bear says that Red Bear has shorted the Nifty December futures at the levels of 10,395. And he or she wants to know what levels should be watched out on an intraday basis, and whether or not there is a chance of the Nifty going down to 10,350. Well, Abhijit, if I can come to you on this one, do you see any possibility of the Nifty coming down to 10,350?
I'm not sure about 10,350, but it can come down towards 10,360, 365, and he can cover it there. And as I said, if Nifty is closing below 10,330 on the spot, he can carry his position also.
Okay, that's a view on Nifty. On YouTube, we've got a query coming in from Stock Mantra. Stock Mantra has taken Bank Nifty 26,000 call strike. He or she has shorted that strike with a premium of about 80, and this is for the next week expiry of Thursday of 21st December. Stock Mantra wants to know if he will get the entire premium, and the call writing has been done today itself. Hemant, yesterday also we got a similar query where you have a lot of these retail traders who are writing options and they're not very familiar, when they book their profits, can they pocket the entire premium when they're shorted? Could you explain to them how this exactly works?
See, if somebody has gone short yesterday, then he has made a big money because you have gone short at the highest level of the VIX. Now, if the VIX continues to fall, obviously with the passing time, you will start making more money. Now, the golden rule says of the option, if the premium you have received comes down below 50%, that means if you have sold some options for 100 and CMP is 50 or below 50, you should book once. That is the way if it is in between the contract. If you are on the second side of the contract or you are closing to the last week of the contract, then you can continue to hold because premiums will evaporate much faster. So if you are particularly asking about yesterday and today, then I think one should pick up the profits for the time being because of the VIX fall, as there are still a lot of days in this series, around 9 to 10 more days, and we still have a counting event to take place. So if there is anything adverse, you may feel the VIX again moving up. So for current month suggestion, if you have sold and VIX has come down, please book profits right now. But if you are looking for a permanent solution or a permanent judgment how to book profits, then the best rule is if it reduces the premium received 50% and lower, book profit if you are in the middle of the series.
All right, taking up the next query, this one is on Maruti futures. Now we have Nitesh who writes to us on Twitter, and he has bought Maruti futures at 9,200 and he wants to know what levels to look at. Let's take a look at what the Maruti December futures are doing currently. If I'm not mistaken, so yeah, there you have it. Okay, it's trading at 9,229, well, 30 odd mark. It's looking at an increase of 4% in open interest. Abhijit, what can Nitesh do with his position and what levels should he be looking out for? He's sitting at a 30-point profit as of now.
Maruti, I mean, it's at an all-time high, so it's difficult to give targets, but the best way is to trail his position, and for the timing, I think a stop loss near 91.80 on the futures is a good stop loss, and as long as it is above it can go towards 93, 94. It's really difficult to give a target on it.
Okay, difficult to give a target on Maruti as the stock has been trading around its all-time high levels. Narendra Kurani has written to us on YouTube and he seems to be one of our regular viewers. Narendra has a query on Dr. Reddy's Laboratory. He's bought the 2300 call option strike when the premium was about 71. He wants to know, should he square off or wait? And currently, if I'm not mistaken, the premium on the 2300 call strike of Dr. Reddy's Laboratories is trading around 79. So he is very much in the money there. Hemant, what do you think he should do?
See, for me, pharma is seeing some buying coming back. So there's no second thought about it. And I would like him to hold this call because it's a long position in Dr. Reddy with a stop loss of 2300. Because if it doesn't dips back below 2300, I am expecting it to go ahead and test 2385, 2390 levels. So for me, it's a bullish setup stock. So just keep a stop loss of 2300, and once it reaches 2380, 2390 levels, you can come out of this call.
All right, so keep a stop loss of 2300 in the underlying. But moving on to the next question, this one is also on Facebook. Siddharth Khaitan wants to get an idea on Tata Motors. He hasn't mentioned whether or not he is long or short, or for that matter, if it is about futures or options. But Abhijit, if I were to come to you on Tata Motors in general, what levels would you be watching at? It's currently trading at 407 when it comes to this December futures.
Tata Motors in the month of November got sold off quite badly from 420, 430, and but at the same time it has support around 400. So with a stop loss of 395, one can go long, but has to be cautious near 420, 425, and only on a close above 430 will Tata Motors be strong. But it is in range of 400 to 420 for the time being.
Okay, so you can initiate a long but put a stop loss around 395 on Tata Motors. It's trading with gains of 1% today. On YouTube, Ayush Singh has written to us. I think he's got a position in Bharti Airtel at about 511 and he wants to know how is it looking. And Hemant, this is the company which has been trading, I guess, at multi-year highs now, Bharti Airtel at 526. What sort of level on the upside that you would be watching out for? And also if somebody is taken a position here, if you could suggest a stop loss.
See, I think you have answered the question yourself, because the stock is in a new momentum altogether. More importantly for me, 500 put writers are holding the fort, so definitely the base has shifted up. If technically, I would keep a stop loss of 518, 517 levels on the stock, and I feel sooner we will see 540 levels getting tested. So if he is long, I would hold with the stop loss of 518. But overall, the stock setup is looking now in medium term also bullish, because the stock base is shifting up now to 500.
All right, we have another query which is to do with, well, perhaps the Nifty strategies, or rather F&O strategies 101. We have Gaurav Patel on YouTube, and his query is on, is this a good time to go debit spread in the Nifty or the Bank Nifty options trade? Now, before we go across to our guest, let me explain what a debit spread is. It results when an investor simultaneously buys an option with a higher premium and sells an option with a lower premium. So, Abhijit, I'm going to come to you on this one. His question is whether or not you can employ a debit spread on the Nifty or the Bank Nifty.
Yes, on Nifty it is possible. He can buy the 10,400 call, which is near 98, and sell the 10,500 call, which is near 56. So it's about 40 rupees spread. And but at the same time, the stop loss should be 10,330 on the Nifty spot. So if it closes below that, he'll gain out of the 10,500 short, and he'll come out of the 10,400 call long.
Okay, that's the view coming in on the Nifty, couple of strikes, but I'm just going to take one more query. Before that, if you could just pull up the intraday chart of Escorts. I think that stock has just surged and it's trading almost at a day's high. It's gained almost 4%, the intraday chart of Escorts. Okay, it's cooled off a bit, but still it's trading around the mark of 686. Okay, on YouTube, Bikash Pekari has written to us. He's saying he has Nifty 10,500 call strike of December expiry. He wants to know what should he do. Can he add more? Expecting BJP would win. Hemant, what would be the advice if somebody is holding long positions in the option side? Would you suggest them to buy more ahead of the election result on Monday?
See, exit polls I think are already getting factored in, because we are hitting the resistance levels, 10,350, 10,400 levels. So what my suggestion would be that you should add only if you manage to sustain above the resistance levels. So any move above 10,400 and we are able to sustain, then it makes more sense to buy. Otherwise, we may remain in a range between 10,200 to 10,400 for a longer period. So that would result in the premium loss. So I would not ask him to right away add any more positions unless until we close above 10,400.
All right, before we have time to take more, to viewer queries, let's take the strategies that our experts are recommending for our viewers today. Abhijit, I'm going to come to you. You have a long on PFC and another long on Engineers India. Can you take us through those?
No, I think there's some confusion. I have a long on Voltas and NMDC.
All right, so please go ahead with your queries then, or rather your recommendations then.
Yeah, one is long in Voltas on a dip with a stop loss of 622 for a target of 650, and long on NMDC only if it crosses today's high. So it is a long above 132 with a stop loss of 128, and it can go towards 140.
Okay, so Voltas and NMDC are two long strategies coming from Abhijit for the day. Hemant, what about you? What are you betting on?
See, I think Voltas will get common with Abhijit. I think Agam also mentioned about Voltas. Important is that stock is, after taking breathing space, has started adding long open interest and with a surge in prices. So I think till the time it holds above 626, chances are very high that stock should test the recent highs of 653. Coming second stock is, I feel that tire stocks will continue to do good. In that I am preferring CEAT. The way the open interest is getting built up and the way the stock has managed to cross the levels of 1735, 738. So I've kept a very tight stop loss of 735 here, and I feel a target of 1780 is very much possible.
All right, so those are Hemant's strategies. So before we can wrap up, maybe there's one more stock that I would like to address, and that is the nifty gainer of the day, and that is Vedanta. Actually, we leave Vedanta out. There's another stock from the same space, and that is Hindalco, which has also moved up by as much as 2.5%. Let's pull up the open interest. There you have it, about a 1% increase there. And we have seen a lot of activity in the metal space recently. Abhijit, any call on Hindalco right now, considering we are seeing some gains in the underlying?
In Hindalco, it has a big resistance near 245 on the futures, and today also it is it went towards 244 and has come down a bit. So one can go long only if it is crossing 245, and if it closes about 245, it can go towards 255 or maybe even 260 in the coming days. But crossing 245 is very crucial.
Okay, that's the view on Hindalco, a counter which is trading with gains of over 2% in today's session. On that note, we'd like to thank both our guests, Hemant as well as Abhijit. Thanks a lot for joining us today and giving us your views on the futures and options market, and also helping our viewers with their queries. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the F&O Show. Thanks very much for watching, but stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint for more news and updates.